There are times when I look at my game collection and replay a game and think, man, how the hell did I enjoy playing this as a kid? And yet there are games in which I boot them up to give them a second chance and think the opposite. After reading some pretty harsh reviews of Bigfoot on NES, I thought I'd give it another go, as it's a game that I remembered somewhat fondly as a child. The premise of Bigfoot is simple to understand. You travel from Mesa, California to New York. At each stop, you'll engage in a different event, from races in mud to car crushes to hill climbs. After each event, you'll earn points and cash. Cash you use to maintain your monster truck, points dictate the ultimate winner once you reach New York. If you don't go broke on your way there, that is. Before you get to these side-scrolling events, you actually have to reach the city. And to do this, you'll partake in an overhead head-to-head race. The true goal is simply to reach the end of the track and cross the finish line first to earn an easy $2,000. Fail to do so and you get nothing. There are various power-ups you can obtain in these races to help keep you in the lead. Saw blades can tear the opponent apart, springs can give you a massive one-time jump over any obstacle. Nitros can be accumulated to give you a quick boost of speed. And if you're down your luck, cash, well, it'll give you some pocket money. The thing with these overhead races is that both vehicles must remain on the screen at all times. Add in the fact that your vehicle is kind of hard to control, and if you reach the bottom of the screen, you'll slingshot ahead, and things just don't feel right. If you ever get stuck and cannot push forward, or if you receive too much damage, your monster truck will explode, resulting in a $500 penalty. Granted, this can also happen to your opponent. Oh, did I say hard to control? I meant nearly impossible. It really only felt like I was only able to move left and right, and even then, it was a struggle. When you get pushed from the bottom of the screen, you don't get a boost of speed to be able to catch up to your opponent, but instead, it only feels like a way to move the screen up further, faster. So there may be times in which you just keep getting snagged at the bottom and just can't get any momentum going. No matter how many of these city-to-city treks you participate in, you never really get the hang of them. You just wait till you see the final straight path and use any nitros that you've got to cross that finish line before the other guy. Does it sound like these races suck? It should, because they kinda do. But maybe the actual monster truck events will fare better, right? Well, only sort of. Again, there are different event types, but mechanically, they all function the same way. In theory, the events work fine. You drive your vehicle across the track and attempt to beat the opponent. There might be some minor obstacles like hills, crushable cars, lakes of mud. Each requires a bit of thought on how to navigate and pace yourself, as a strict slam on the gas pedal approach will usually result in a blown engine. Instead, you have to time gear shifts, maybe let up off of the gas when going down a hill, and use the supercharger in moderation. Even so, a win isn't guaranteed, as the opposition is ruthless. Or maybe they aren't and the controls are just plain awful. Because they are. A is used to shift and B is your supercharger, which you can consider an added acceleration boost. So you just press right to move, correct? No! You have to alternate between left and right to move. Whose boneheaded idea was this? Trying to match left and right and pay attention to the engine temperature in order to know when to shift is not an enjoyable experience. Eventually, I won races by turning on the supercharger and just hightailing it. Sure, I disengage the supercharger at times to let the engine cool for a second, but if you can't get it down, you just aren't winning races. If you don't win races, it's not an immediate game over, as you still move on to the next race on your road trip, but you won't earn any cash, which might be a problem. See, without cash, you can't do any vehicle upgrades, which consist of your engine, suspension, wheels, and gearbox. If you are reckless in the events, you'll damage these items, requiring you to spend some money to fix them. If you run out of money, you can't fix your vehicle. And if you run out of cash, be it by not being able to pay the $500 destruction penalty or the $1,000 event entry fee, then it's game over. In theory, this game should be fun to play. The setup is there, but the control is what ruins it. The overhead races, although frustrating, can be tolerable, but the insane decision to alter left and right during the actual events can be downright game-breaking. That's because by doing so, you'll probably have to stop in order to shift, and then quickly get back to wiggling that directional pad. And in that small time frame, it gives your opponent time to catch up, since they don't have to give their thumb rug burn. There's Not really much music in the game for you to listen to other than the title theme, but obviously there are some sound effects, which also suck. Many of them sound like they would be more at home on the Atari 2600 than on the NES. I wouldn't blame you if you threw your TV on mute and enjoyed some nice music from an exterior sound source if you did subject yourself to Bigfoot. If there is one redeeming factor, it might be the graphics. They aren't terrible, so there's that. The overhead segments have enough detail to show various hills and obstacles, but they don't really change between cities. During the events, the monster trucks themselves look pretty good, and although there's not a ton of color in these events, they at least feel the part, with lots of browns to denote dirt and mud. In the outdoor hill climbs, there's a nice green backdrop and a bright blue sky once you reach the top. If you reach the top. So I can't completely knock the game. But in closing, as I played the game again for this review, I questioned multiple times how I was able to enjoy this game as a kid. Nostalgia goggles definitely did not work for Bigfoot's favor. Frustratingly tough opponents, overhead races in which you feel like you're just going through the motions, absolutely crap controls in the actual events, sounds that belong in the early 80s. I really can't recommend Bigfoot, even to fans of the monster truck, which is really a shame since I think it had potential with the different types of events. But if you absolutely must play it, be prepared for some sore thumbs and possibly a broken controller. Final score, 2 out of 7. This is Reaper. Happy fragging.